afternoon. Hi, I'm Victoria Simmons with the Georgia Post with this week's edition of the Georgia Post Review. My host this week is Linda Reynolds. And our guest this week is Katie Jones, who is not only a cancer survivor, but she started Baskets of Joy to provide Easter baskets for underprivileged children. And Katie is also an established author. So welcome, Katie.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and then lead into how Baskets of Joy came about.
Well, I live in Musella, Georgia, in the metropolis of Musella. I'm married. I have 3 grown children. I have twin sons, Jeremy and Joshua, who are 38, and a daughter named Kelly, who's 27. And I have 2 beautiful grandchildren and 3 wonderful in-laws.
So Basket of Joy began how many years ago?
We began 22 years ago. It started out when I called one of the children's home to ask them if they wanted hair bows. I'd made a lot of hair bows for my daughter and had extra. And the lady asked me if I could make Easter baskets. And without mentioning it to my husband first, I went ahead and agreed. And
how many did they want you to make?
48 the first year.
Oh!
And I didn't know how I was going to do it.
Now, why did you choose to go to donate these extra hair bows to an orphanage rather than a school or other facility?
I grew up in a children's home and in foster care. So that was dear to my heart. And when I was talking with the social worker, she says, you know, a lot of these children have never had Easter baskets before. So that was a reminder.
So you never had an Easter basket when you were in foster care or an orphanage?
No. My husband Clay made me my very first Easter basket.
Aww.
And that's why I've stayed with him for almost 35 years.
I hope that's the only reason.
That first year, he came home. Our sons were about to start college, and he came home, and here I am throwing this on him, and he's like, how are you going to do it? And I'm like, we'll do it. We'll get donations. We'll do this. And it came together. With some friends donated some used Easter baskets. I painted them. They turned out great. Florists gave us supplies to wrap the baskets. And I made a vow that each basket would have a Bible in there. And that's one thing. The first thing that goes in every basket is Bible. But we put them together that year. And matter of fact, we even had things left over. Each basket contains a Bible or a Bible story book for my younger children. It contains a stuffed animal, a candy, a chocolate bunny, or a big chocolate treat, and about 4 or 5 gifts. But most of all, it shows children that someone cares for them. When I was in the 3rd grade, I remembered sitting in the classroom and all the children talking about their Easter baskets, and I didn't get one. And, I was thinking, golly, am I not good enough? What have I done wrong? And, so on Easter morning when I wake up, first thing I think about is my kids and that they're getting Easter baskets, and that's a wonderful thought.
Yeah, that's what prompted this story, right, which is in Guidepost, called 48 Baskets. It was a promise she had to keep, and that's all about her story with the Easter baskets. And if you hadn't read it, you need to. I think this is April 2018 edition. So you also wrote that story and have published other ones in
Guidepost, yes.
So that was how many years ago?
22.
22 years ago. And tell us what's happened with this ministry since then.
We have grown.
The orphanage is free stuff?
Yes, we have grown. We have grown to include another children's home. We've now covered 12 counties of foster care.
Wow.
Plus, we also cover several shelters in Bibb and Houston County. So we have grown tremendously. This year we made 536 Easter baskets. So we have grown over the last 22 years.
And you thought 48 was a lot.
I know. I keep thinking about those days. We have made 6,550 baskets.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations. Now, the age range that you
The youngest child had not been born yet.
Aw.
His mama was living in a shelter, and he was due the week before Easter. So we went ahead and made him a fabulous Easter basket that year.
Aw.
And, had some supplies in there that he would need, plus a little first Easter teddy bear. And we go up through 18 or 19 years old, and, a lot of people may think an 18-year-old's too old for an Easter basket, but their emotional needs have not been met. They've not been shown the love. People say, well, God, your kids get more than a lot of kids get in their own home. That's probably true. But my kids, they don't have a mom and dad to tuck them in that night. They may not even have their own home. So they need something extra on Easter.
That's so kind of you.
So do you have volunteers that helps you put these together, and where do you put
Yeah, putting
assemble them?
500
That's
Easter
a lot of it,
baskets.
yeah.
It really works like clockwork. We put them together over at the recycling center up here in Roberta. We usually have 20 to 30 volunteers. We set up an assembly line and go through and put everything in the Easter baskets. And I have 2 tables that are set aside for the gifts for each age group. So we go through the various age groups and swap out the gifts. And then we have a separate infant and toddler section.
Aw.
How long does it take for 500 and something baskets?
It took less than 3 hours.
Oh,
Wow.
I mean, we are organized.
yeah, sounds like.
Well, that's a lot of material.
Yeah. How do you get them delivered?
We have volunteers that deliver some. Some of the firemen from the counties will come pick them up, and my husband delivers a lot also.
So how do you finance such a big endeavor?
We seek a lot of volunteers who donate money. Also, Kroger donates a lot to us.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we get a lot of leftover Easter merchandise from Kroger every year. And, we get a lot after Easter, and then at the end of the summer, we buy a lot of items that are on clearance for the next year.
Okay, so where do you store all of these things?
Right now, that's a big issue. Right now, everything is stored in our game room. We
At
have,
home?
Yes.
Oh.
We have about 80 boxes in the game room, stacked up to the ceiling.
Oh, my.
It's horrible.
What happened to the previous storage area?
We have been, over the years, with generous people letting us borrow a storage unit or a room, and the last one, they were going to rent the room, so we were asked to leave.
Okay.
So now you are at a point where you need storage.
We do, and I took a leap of faith, and we have already ordered a storage building, a 12 by 36, because not only do we do Baskets of Joy, we're over Kids You'll Love for Crawford County. So we ordered a 12 by 36. I was sitting there signing the papers because I have faith we're going to have the money.
Mm-hmm.
My husband's sitting there looking like we need to dial 911. And he's like, and
So does this need to be climate controlled?
somewhat, not 100%. If it's insulated and can keep out the severe heat and cold, it will be
Because
adequate.
chocolate bunnies can melt.
Yeah, I have learned that we can't have, I kept some chocolate bunnies in my house one year, and even under climate control, they can't last a year. The expiration date is good, but they look kind of white and patchy.
Yeah.
But I experimented one year and bought a few to see if it would work, and it didn't.
Didn't.
No.
Okay. But you can buy jelly beans and that kind of stuff the year before, right? If
Yes,
the
I can.
expiration's long enough?
If it is, and if I have someplace in the house to store them.
Got it. So in this storage unit, you're going to store gifts and like school supplies that might go in the baskets, or?
We'll store the baskets themselves, the grass, we'll store the Bibles, we'll store toys, and, you know, everything that goes in the basket except for the candy.
Okay, and, well, as
it's
Vicki
a-
said, how do you finance all this? How do you afford it all?
Well, we do get a lot of donations. There are a lot of generous people in Crawford County, really,
There are.
and throughout the community, they've helped a lot.
And so now you're wanting help to get the storage, right? You need help, not just wanting it. You
Yeah,
need
we
help.
need it. We
Where are you
need-
gonna put the storage building?
We're gonna put it in Musella on the back part of our property.
Okay.
So you're sending out donation letters, and have you set up an account maybe where people can help that?
Baskets of Joy has its own bank account.
Okay.
And all the donations will be made through Baskets of Joy, which it's a transparent. Anybody that wants to see my paperwork are welcome to see it. But we're accepting donations. They can be mailed to me or Clay at P.O. Box 7, Musella, Georgia, 31066, and checks may be payable to Baskets of Joy. We're sending out the letters for donations. And the storage unit's gonna be used exclusively for Kids You'll Love and Baskets of Joy, because we are a division of Kids You'll Love. We became a division of Kids You'll Love about 15 years ago.
So if somebody wants a tax deductible, to make a tax deductible donation, they can make it out to Baskets of Joy, care of Kids You'll Love, and use their tax ID number?
Or they can just make it out to Baskets of Joy, and they can use the Kids You'll Love number. And I've got that number available for anyone who wants to use
So
it.
it can be a tax deduction.
Yes, it can be.
So how many kids do you help with Kids You'll Love every year?
Each averaging, with Kids You'll Love, last year I think we did approximately 70 in Crawford County. Of course, I got a few last minute ones, and you can't turn them down. You just can't. And I was just amazed. David Shepard at the high school and TSA, they were wonderful. Those kids had a toy drive at the high school. And I believe in teaching children to care about
Right,
each other.
exactly.
Chuck Walker had a fly-in at CMJ Hobbies.
Oh, great.
Pleasant Hill Christian Congregational Church brought me a lot of toys. Kiwanis brought a lot, and a lot of individuals made donations. I hope that I haven't overlooked anyone.
If you haven't donated, you still can,
Yeah,
right, every
and
year.
if I overlooked you, I apologize. Please forgive me.
Well, this is an
And-
incredible heart for service, Katie.
Thank you.
And the firefighters help with, don't they help deliver Kids You'll Love? Because I think you have a Santa Claus. and
Yes,
everything.
they do. The Crawford County Fire Department helps deliver to some of the children's for Kids You'll Love, and the families love it. You know, Santa Claus comes in a big blue fire truck and gets out and gives them their toys, and the kids, they take pictures and have a great time. And, you know, I talk with the parents ahead of time, and I say, do you want Santa Claus to deliver it? Do you want a deputy just to drop it off, or do you want to come by here? And one year
That's nice to give them those
Yeah.
options.
yeah, because some people are under bad circumstances, and they just want to, you know, not let everybody know that they're having a difficult time.
Right. But also, if they want to come pick it up, then they can put it under the tree for Christmas morning.
Right. That's how that's why we give them those options.
That's really nice.
How far in advance do you know, with Baskets of Joy, how many baskets you're gonna need?
Usually, we try to get them delivered a month before Easter. So usually 2 months before Easter, I find out how many children are gonna be there, and I always make allowances for a few extra.
That'll
Good,
give
they
you a
do
lot of
tend to
time,
come.
No. By then, I already have a lot of things already counted and sorted. So, you know, I count all of the gifts for each age group, and I count the baskets, and I make sure I have enough to cover it. And I have done a lot of last minute shopping.
What are some of the items that you have a hard time getting every year that you need most?
My senior boys are my hardest group. You know, it's hard to buy for a boy that age. And I usually buy them stuff like flashlights, playing cards, Uno cards. They love Uno. Some of the wooden games. They love the body spray.
I was gonna say
Boys-
aftershave or
Yeah,
something like that.
they're into smelling good, which
Yeah.
is good. And
Deodorant.
yeah, you know, I try to buy them stuff. You know, of course, most boys that age are going to want electronics, but we just can't put
Can't afford
electronics in.
there.
I think I had like 80 or 90 senior boys last year. We just can't do that, but we try to give them several nice little gifts. And my senior girls, of course, teenage girls are easy to buy for. You know, makeup, journals,
Chocolate.
yeah. And girls are easier to buy for, you know, decorative items. And then a lot of people think, you know, my little children, but they don't think of the older ones.
Well, that's wonderful that you're meeting their emotional needs through a physical gift, you
Yes.
know?
So about how many homes do you work with?
We have 2 children's homes. We have 12 counties of foster care that we donate to. And then we have 2 shelters in Macon and a shelter in Warner Robins.
Wow, that's a
Well,
big
now,
area.
I may be woefully ignorant of the foster care system, but shouldn't the foster parents try and do something for their kids? I mean, if you
Well-
choose to be a foster parent, you choose to take a child into your home.
In the
you-
perfect world.
Yeah, you've heard a lot of foster parents, horror
Yes.
stories, at least I have, over the years. So
Yes,
It's not always a perfect environment.
it's not always.
So the foster parents that are going to provide these things for their kids, they don't ask for you, or do they?
Well, we get lists from each DFACS
Okay.
with the children's names and ages, so we, you know, make the basket.
Aw, so they're customized for the kids.
Well, the smaller ones are. The other ones, you know, are the older children, ages 5 and up. We have a table of gifts, and they'll, you know, we'll pick their gifts off there.
So what's the feedback been? Have you heard any good stories or?
Well, one year I went to one of the children's homes. We had a lot of leftover candy, and I went to one of the homes. And when we were I was driving up to the home. My husband had to work that day, so I was driving to the home, which I didn't want to go back to a children's home. I had a lot of bad memories, but I rang the doorbell, and I was just going to drop it off. And the door opened. It was a house parent, and it was a little girl named Katie. And she's like, "Hey, my name's Katie," blah, 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 and was real talkative like me. But she had brown hair, cutting bangs like I used to wear, and blue eyes, and just reminded me so much of myself. And she took my hand. She said, "Let me show you what I got." And she was showing me her stuffed animal. And
That she had gotten from your Easter basket.
yeah, but they didn't know where it
Yeah,
come
right.
from.
Right.
I don't want the children to know
Right.
where it comes
Yeah.
from. Let them believe in, you know, the rabbit
Whatever they're
or
gonna believe
whatever
in.
they're going to believe in. And then one year when I called one of the homes to get a list, I asked the receptionist, I said, "Are you familiar with our baskets?" She said, "Yes." She said, "I used to live here."
Aww.
So, you know, I've gotten some good feedback.
Aw.
And one year, well, we always get thank you cards. And one year, one of the kids, they had let the kids write their own cards. And one of them says, "Thank you for the candy. I did not get any cavities."
Oh, priceless.
Somebody probably said that to them.
Right.
I did not get any cavities.
So, you know, and, you know, I don't see the children, but in my mind I do. I just can envision, you know, them being happy on Easter morning.
Because you know what from experience. what that was
Right.
like, so.
Right.
Well, tell us a little bit about your writing. How did you get into writing? And I know a little bit, but
Yeah.
you know, the audience might not.
As a child, I started writing. I had a difficult childhood, which I don't dwell on that. But when I was little, I used to write a lot, and that was a way to escape my childhood. And as I got older, I continued to write, and then I started writing for some local papers. And as it grew, I started looking into writing contests in some magazines and started submitting some. I got a lot of rejections, which, you know, I cried every time I'd get a rejection. But then I started being accepted, and I've had one story written in Guidepost, published in Guidepost Angels, and 2 in Guidepost magazines. And I've also been chosen to be an author for Mornings with Jesus for Guidepost Devotional Book 2020. So I'm working on, I have to have 31 devotions in by the end of June, and I'm working on those now.
Wait a minute, you're submitting them by the end of June 2018 for the publication for 20?
Mhm.
Wow, that's a long lead time, isn't it?
It is. But it's a nice book. It's bound very pretty. It's very nice. Very, it's presented very well.
Good. That's awesome.
So, I hadn't mentioned much about Kids You'll Love in Crawford County.
Okay. Go ahead.
Crawford County desperately needs donations for Kids You'll Love. And, a lot of times you can buy toys on sale, and now we'll have a place to store them throughout the year. We have about 70-something children. And, I know a lot of the parents because I work in Crawford County. And, there's a lot of legitimate needs here. And there's a lot of kind people who are willing to help fill those needs.
Yeah, the Toys R Us on Watson is going out of business, right?
Yeah, so go buy toys for Kids
Yeah.
You'll Love. Well, so what is that process? If somebody needs that help, what do they need to do?
Usually in November, the first part of November, latter part of October, we'll send out flyers telling people to go ahead and sign up, and they come and they meet with me and we fill out the paperwork.
And is 70, is that the most you've had, or?
That's the most I've had.
And that was just past year?
Mm-hmm.
And when do the gifts need to be to you in order for them to get to the children?
I like to get them by probably the first week of December, the end of the first week of December. That way I'll have time to see if what, we need to purchase
Got
or
it.
get.
Got it. Now, are these wrapped gifts or?
No,
Okay.
unwrapped. And last year, I sat there and I took duct tape, masking tape, and put on the rug and set up sections for each family, and that way I could divide out all the presents. And we had a lady who donated Bibles so that every child would have a Bible last year.
Wow.
You've got it down to a good science, huh?
I try. I try.
That
And
game room has been well used, hasn't
It
it?
has. It's been used and abused.
in addition to all this, you also work part-time at Roberta Drugs.
I work full-time
Oh,
at
full-time.
Roberta
Oh,
Drugs.
man.
I do.
Oh, man.
Yes, I've been there 10 years.
Wow. So,
So you work full-time, you do Kids You'll Love, you'll do Baskets of Joy. That's a lot of work, Katie.
Yeah.
and her daughter just got married. She did the weddings.
And babysit every chance I get.
Yeah, so, if you don't mind, would you tell us a little bit about your battle with cancer? We know that you're a survivor, and we're glad that you are.
Thank you. In 2013, I started having little red splotches and tumors on top of my head. And I put it off like I do everything else.
But we all-
Not like you're too busy.
Yeah, we noticed it in April. I went to the doctor in November, and they diagnosed it as B-cell T-cell lymphoma. And I had to have 15 rounds of radiation to the top of my head, which is why I wear caps a lot, because I have the old man ball circle. And but I don't have cancer, and I'm very thankful of that. And then a few years later, I had a little place on my face, and they had to remove it because it was melanoma. But over and all, I look at other people, and I'm blessed. I wouldn't even say cancer when I was sick. I would say, yeah, I just had some places on my head.
Yeah, so you're advising anybody to go to the doctor, right?
Yeah, immediately. Don't wait so long.
It's amazing that as you were growing up, you felt unloved. You said you had a terrible childhood and used writing as an escape, and yet as an adult, you can't wait to give back. You have an attitude of gratitude, and you are a cancer survivor. That's just a wonderful story, Katie. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
it with
I
us.
appreciate it.
And she has a great attitude, and I think that's probably part of, anything that you counter. Our attitudes has a lot to do with how quick we recover and.
Well, that's true, and
And certainly the radiation treatment didn't sap your energy for now.
it did for a while.
For a while.
But I was blessed to have it back, and
Yeah.
one of the things I wanted to do, I made a bucket list, and I've already jumped out of an airplane, parachuted,
Oh,
and I wanted to be published in Guidepost. I have some song lyrics I've written and want to hear them on the radio one day, and I have a lot of little things I want to do. I want to read the Bible at least through all the way once. I haven't, but I have a lot of things I want to do.
I think I got bogged down in Chronicles.
I don't think I got that far.
well, I'm on my, like, I don't know, 8th or 9th time. So you still get bogged down along the way.
Yeah.
But you always learn something new every time too, so. Well, is there anything else you want to add? We really enjoyed you being here today.
Well, I've enjoyed it too. I appreciate it,
And thank
and
Roberta Drugs for letting you off
Yeah.
to come talk to us today.
okay, yes. Hey, Melanie.
Shout out.
Shout out. But I love the people in Roberta. Until I started working at the drugstore, I probably knew a couple of dozen people here, and as working, I just love everybody and our customers.
And Katie also worked at the Georgia Post one time.
Yeah, I did. I didn't meet as many people there. It was a little more limited, but I started learning more about the community,
Yeah.
and I met some good people.
So what is your next project you got coming out?
Next project is working on the devotionals, and I've applied for a writing contest, and if I win, I'll get to go to New York this fall
All right.
for a week.
Wow, that would be awesome.
And I want to be able to babysit my grandbabies more.
So any plans on retiring anytime soon?
Hopefully, but nothing's in concrete
If she
yet.
becomes a published author,
Oh, yeah.
she won't have to worry about all these donations.
Right, yes.
So anything else you want to add? Don't forget to donate to Baskets of Joy so she can get the storage building, which is really sorely needed.
It definitely is.
So is there anything else you want to add that we haven't discussed? Or?
Well, my husband Clay, I get a lot of the credit, but my husband Clay is the backbone of both projects.
Mhm.
He is there right with me. And, he's the gopher, the doer, the box stacker, because we have boxes stacked to the ceiling, and he does it all.
So there were, 50-something the first year. What does he think now that there's 500 and
It really runs so smooth.
It's just the storage issue.
Yeah, the storage
Yeah.
issue is our biggest issue.
Yeah, because you have to be able to purchase economically throughout the year to give the best value to the children.
Mhm.
Well, we hope that our viewers will help you resolve that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And we appreciate you being here today, and tell Clay that we appreciate him and all that you do for the community.
Thank y'all.
And we just love you.
Thank you.
That's our edition this week of the Georgia Post Review. We hope that if you aren't already a subscriber, that you will subscribe and keep up with all the latest news in your community. It's also supporting your community, and we love our communities here. We hope that you have a good day, and we'll see you next week. That's it for this week's edition.